Tonight, a salute to the Honeymooners, a half-century after its TV debut. This classic still packs a huge comedy punch. Joining us, Marilyn Gleason, widow of the legendary Jackie Gleason. Was he a real-life Cramden? Also here, longtime Gleason buddy, former talk show host Mike Douglas. The Honeymooners' original Trixie, actress Joyce Randolph. Boy, does she have some behind-the-scenes stories. And the actress who played Trixie when the Honeymooners went to color, Kean, another Gleason friend. Plus, one of the original writers for the Honeymooners, Leonard Stern, and the executive producer of 50 Years of the Honeymooners, Paul Brownstein. A very entertaining hour is next on Larry King Live. We have a wonderful show in store for you tonight, and on a personal note, I feel very involved because the man we're paying tribute to is someone I considered a friend and a mentor. Jackie Gleason, this Monday night, May 6th on CBS, a special will air at 10 o'clock Eastern called The Honeymooners' 50th Anniversary Celebration. Tonight we have a tribute to the great one, the one and only Jackie Gleason, and we begin with his widow, Marilyn Gleason. They married in 1975, and she was once a June Taylor dancer on the Gleason show. Is that how you met?
Basically, yes. Mm-hmm.
How have things been, Marilyn? How's life going?
Quieter. Fine. I play golf, live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Sold the house after Jackie died because it was too big for one person, and I'm a cliff dweller. I still miss him, but we're still here.
Going on. He died 15 years ago.
That's right.
Of
this
stomach
June.
cancer?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Did he know he was going to die?
Oh, yes. Yes, he knew.
How did he handle those days at the end? Because talking to him, it was one of the things he always thought about was death. Fearing it, wondering what would happen after. How did he handle?
Oh, he was always curious about beyond, and it was one of his greatest quests. His library was filled with all of those books.
I know, he didn't read novels. What was it like for you, though? I mean, he'd been married a couple times, right? He was so flamboyant. I mean, Jackie lived right out there, right? What was it like to be married to him?
Very public, and very private, and very quiet. Jackie had many facets. He could perform. He could perform for 3 or 4 people in a small arena.
But was he tough to live with?
Not tough. Surprising sometimes.
Like?
You never knew when something was going to upset him, and he'd be angry about it. Let him get angry. He'd get over it.
You mentioned that after he died, when you went through the house, you realized that he lived in every room in the house, right?
That's right.
You had an 18-room house. Jackie knew every room.
Definitely. One end of I guess originally it had been built as servants' quarters, his radio room. He used to love to go middle of the night and turn and listen to the short wave and get all excited that something was happening someplace, and he could hear the fire engines or the police or he enjoyed it.
Larger than life in a sense, right?
In a sense, larger than life, and sometimes quieter than a sleeping baby.
Let's discuss some myths, or if they are myths, that have arisen, that the writers were the ones who created the Honeymooners.
Some people have given that impression or said that. And that hurt Jackie in later years.
Because he created it.
He definitely did. He didn't write it. He had great writers.
Oh,
they came up with ideas and scenarios. But he always knew the characters, whether they would do something or wouldn't do it. And that's funny, fellas, but it's not what Ralph would do.
He let me attend writer meetings, and there was he was the boss.
In many ways, yes, he loved being boss.
That the ratings slipped after the format changed.
The ratings slipped, but it was because the first 3 years, yeah, that's the 3 years, it was live. And everyone in America, television, everything really was live in 52, 53, 54. And when he went to the half-hour filmed Honeymooners, it was just too laid back and quiet, and you knew it was going to try. When it was live, it was exciting. Besides, he was doing other characters, and he was throughout the whole hour show. And at the end, and Tommy and Jimmy Dorsey had the stage show, which was a variety show. Well,
they did the summer show.
Well, no, they did a summer show, but then they carried it all through the season while the half-hour filmed Honeymooners, the famous 39. They weren't as great as they had been when it was live. The spontaneity is what everyone loved about Jackie. So at the end of that year, it's almost as though the train had left the station. Now new things had come along, and he never quite, in the 50s, regained what had been lost by film.
And also,
no one knew that those 39 were going to live forever.
He also had tremendous, I mean, he went off with more people than now watch television in a night watching him. I mean, he went off with like 30 million viewers.
Yes.
And also
yes.
they were skewing old, as they said. There were other reports I know that bother you, that he often consumed vast quantities of food. He had a good appetite,
Oh,
but
he had a
wasn't,
tremendous appetite.
he wasn't voluminous.
Of course not, but his eyes were tremendous. You go into a restaurant, oh, clams are inside. Oh, it's great here. 12.5 clams. Now, then he would order the rest of the meal, and of course he'd eat the 12.5 clams, and he'd never get too far into the steak or anything else. But waiters and everybody always said, oh, the night he was here, this is what he ate, not what he ordered. It's what he ate.
Marilyn Gleason will be joined in a moment by Mike Douglas, Joyce Randolph, Leonard Stern, and Jane Kean in our tribute to Jackie Gleason. The special airs on CBS Monday, May 6th. Don't go away.
All right, give me it.
He uses his words to lure his prey.
Kay had all his books.
Exactly what was the nature of your relationship to this girl?
He was her mentor.
He uses his crimes to inspire his stories.
No evidence that I killed Kay.
You don't hide from me in a town this small.
And there's no one he admires more than a smart detective.
I'm not who you think I am. You, for one, should have figured that one out by now.
Insomnia.
Told you I'd write an ending they'd like.
Rated R. Starts Friday, May 24th.
Honey, I made my special salmon loaf for dinner.
You'll find any excuse to go Outback for our deep-fried coconut shrimp and our perfectly grilled shrimp.
Hey, guys. Fridge not working again?
It's weird. Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
For years, Pennzoil has helped keep your car running like new. Now they have a brand new product that keeps your car looking like new. Pennzoil Total Care.
Introducing Pennzoil Total Care, the revolutionary new car care product that gives your car a professional quality finish inside and out. Use Pennzoil Total Care on your whole car. Wash and wax the paint, clean and protect the interior. It even does windows and chrome. It's easy. Just rinse off the car, sponge on Pennzoil Total Care, and buff to a beautiful shine. Call today to order the Pennzoil Total Care Kit. You get the sponge, the microfiber towel, and enough Pennzoil Total Care for 10 complete applications, all for just $14.95. Pennzoil Total Care, the fast and easy all-in-one car care product that cleans, shines, and protects your whole car, guaranteed. Call right now and you'll also get a free can of Pennzoil Z4, the all-in-one spray lubricant. Call this number to order now.
Pennzoil Total Care, a total revolution in car care.
How do you build an empire out of your kitchen?
My life is my work, and my work is my life.
But is her success made of sugar and spice and not always playing so nice? Martha Stewart on People in the News, hosted by Paul Azan. Sunday night, 8 Eastern on CNN.
He's in charge of Enron's uncertain future. CEO Stephen Cooper discusses his plan to refuel the embattled energy company. Plus, live from Houston with developments in the Arthur Anderson case. Lou Dobbs' Moneyline, CNN Monday, 6 Eastern.
Would you make a little toast that is appropriate for the occasion? I think I have one. Down the hatch.
We're back on a very special edition of Larry King Live, personal for me too, because he was my friend. Monday night, the Honeymooners' 50th anniversary special will air on CBS at 10 Eastern. Marilyn Gleason, his widow, remains with us, and joining us in Palm Beach, Mike Douglas, longtime friend, guested on the Gleason Show, and Jackie co-hosted the Mike Douglas Show several times. In New York is Joyce Randolph. That very familiar face, she played Trixie in the original Honeymooners show. Back here in Los Angeles is Leonard Stern, an original Honeymooners writer, and also Jane Kean, co-star, close friend of Jackie's, and she played Trixie when the Honeymooners show went to color from 1966 through to 1970. How, Mike, did you first meet Jackie?
I met Jackie through a comedian named Woody Woodbury. He called me for a golf game one day, and I said, "Where are we going?" He said, "We're going to play with Gleason." And I said, "Where?" He said, "The Country Club of Miami." And I was in Miami taping at the time. And I was so in awe of this man, I must tell you. Just seeing him on the practice tee, the way he was dressed, those beautiful clothes. And I was terribly intimidated, and he beat the socks off of me and had me about, beat me 12 ways, I'll be very honest. And when we went into the locker room, he announced to everyone, you know how Jackie would say, "Well, pal, you lost 12 ways." I mean, loud.
Joyce, how did you get the part as the original Trixie?
Oh, it's quite a long story. We were back at Channel 5, and I was called by Joe Cates to do a Clorets commercial, and I did that on Cavalcade of Stars. A few weeks later, he called me again, repeat the Clorets commercial on Cavalcade of Bands. A few weeks later, he called me and said Jackie had written a serious sketch with the writers, and would I come in and audition and try to look older? I did that. Harry Crane hired me. I did this serious skit with Jackie. It was very strange, but we did it. And a few weeks later, Joe Cates was on the phone again asking me had I seen the Honeymooners ever, and I said no, I didn't even have a television set. And he said, well, we've finally written in a wife for Art Carney, he's the sewer worker, and she's called Trixie. And Mr. Gleason said to me, "Get me that serious actress." So that's how I fell into the part.
And Jane, how did you get to be the later Trixie?
Well, I've worked with Jackie in the past. As a matter of fact, we were both, I hate to say how long ago it was, but we were doing one-nighters, the Lowe's Pitkin, Lowe's Melba.
With you and your sister?
No.
Just you?
I was the singer on the bill, and he was the comic, and we were getting $50 a show. And then we did Summer Stock together, the show off, and along Fifth Avenue on Broadway. So
when he went down to Miami to do the Honeymooners, did he call you?
I had run into an agent when I went to see The Odd Couple with Art Carney, and I was with my husband, and we drove back to California, and when I got back there, the agent called. It wasn't really my agent, but he knew they were looking for a Trixie. So he said, "You're not going to believe this, but you're going to be Trixie Norton, and it's going to be a musical. You're going to be able to sing and dance and do the whole number."
Those were great years. And Leonard, how did you get to write for Jackie Gleason?
Oh, Jackie and I were friends, and I was in California, and the movie business had folded. It was a time when
he didn't do well early movies.
No, he hadn't established himself. They hadn't found a character for him.
Yeah.
The Life of Riley helped. Television show helped him develop a skill that he only improved upon each and every year, that of reacting. He was a phenomenal reactor. Well, anyway, I was out in California, and Cy Fisher, who was my agent, knew that if I came east, he could get me work on the Jackie Gleason show, subject to Jackie's approval. Cy negotiated and finally called back, and he said, "Okay, I got you the $1,000 for 4 weeks, but Jackie wants to speak to you." And Jackie was in the office. He said, "Hello, Leonard. I'm paying you $1,000 a week, but don't expect us to be friends anymore. Of course, there was no longevity in that threat.
Now, Marilyn, you danced on that show, right?
I was assistant choreographer. Sure, I was sister to June Taylor.
Those opening great shots, and he'd come down through the middle. And...
Right. Oh, yes. That's,
did you have a kind of fondness for him before you dated?
You say the come down the middle. I had been on the show 2 years on Dumont, the Cavalcade of Stars, before we went to CBS, and we were friends.
But no chemistry clicking?
No, it was never mentioned.
Mikey had so many facets, and let's discuss some of them. What, in your opinion, was his greatness?
I think his greatness was that he was such a great actor, and as Leonard pointed out, a great reactor, but acting is reacting as far as I'm concerned. He was so special, and you know, when you worked with him, I don't know if anybody brought this up, but they put a script in front of each person. The first day there would be scripts in front of everyone. The second day there would be scripts in front of everyone except Mr. Gleason. He had it all committed to memory. He knew your lines, her lines. It was unbelievable, the mind this man had. And the fascinating thing about him in watching him, and he insisted that I be in his dressing room, because somehow we hit it off. I don't think he had that many friends, but so I'm very happy about that. But he would not be there, and all of these people will substantiate this, he would not be there for the dress rehearsal. He had someone walking through his part. And I asked him about that, and I never forgot the answer. He said, "It's only funny once, pal." But I said, "You've only got stage hands out there." He said, "They'll never laugh the second time." He didn't want to be out there. He wanted to do it and keep it fresh, is what he said.
Joyce,
and
why didn't you go down to Florida?
Oh, I was busy being a wife and a mother, and I wasn't asked anyway, but it didn't matter.
Other than that. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. He was born Herbert John Gleason in 1916 in Brooklyn, New York. His mother always called him Jackie. Had a rocky childhood. Father ran away from home.
His name.
Early signs of talent, yes. Herbert John Gleason. Did he ever call himself Herbert? Never.
Never.
We'll be right back with more on the incredible Jackie after this.
Oh, bang, zoom. Oh, bang, zoom. Bang, zoom. Bang, zoom. Bang, zoom.
Over the years, I've played my fair share of strings. One of my favorites is this Ryobi I got at Tractor Supply. And with a full line of string trimmers, Husky and Cub Cadet riders, leaf blowers, Troy-built tillers, and all the lawn tools you can imagine, it just isn't spring in my yard without a trip to Tractor Supply. You want me to play that one again for you?
Tractor Supply, for 1 acre or 1,000, will help you get the job done. Moo.
If you're a music lover, there's never been a better time to call 1-800-GATEWAY, because right now you can get an amazing deal on the Gateway 500X digital music PC. This Intel Pentium 4 processor-based PC lets you mix and share your music in a whole new way. It includes a flat panel monitor, CD burner, the Gateway MusicWare CD Creator Pack, and more, all for only $15.99. So call 1-800-GATEWAY today. That's 1-800-GATEWAY.
CNN Monday on the all-new Crossfire. It's the right versus the left live. Should the world count on President Bush to break the cycle of Mideast violence? Pick a side and join the debate in the Crossfire. 7 Eastern on CNN Monday night.
You're not going to believe what Mike Tyson told one of our reporters.
You put me in prison. I even like prison now.
On the Next American Morning, Monday at 7 a.m.
Hi, interested in earning free airline miles?
Sure.
Think you don't fly enough to earn them?
Yes.
Think miles are good on only one airline?
Yes.
Think again. Every day more people are flying to more places free.
How? It's easy. With the Citibank Advantage World MasterCard.
Call now and you could get 1 mile for every dollar you spend. And use your miles on over 20 top airlines. And now your miles never expire when you make a purchase with your card once every 3 years. Plus, we'll give you 8,000 bonus miles. Sound good?
Yes!
You'll earn miles on everyday purchases. And with no preset spending limit, you'll have the spending power you want. Call now and get 8,000 bonus miles. And before you know it, you could fly on over 20 top airlines, drive with every major car rental company, and stay at the finest hotels free, all with the miles that take you further. From Citibank Advantage World MasterCard. Perfect. Call about getting your Citibank Advantage World MasterCard and 8,000 bonus miles.
This is CNN.
I wish that somebody would invent a household utensil that would do the work of all of these. Am I coming through out there? Rachel, who are you?
He probably invented comedy on television. Oh, that's good booze. Reggie Van Gleason III. God, you had to love Jackie. Was he difficult, Leonard, to write for? Was he demanding?
No, he had standards, but he was the most trusting of comedians. Remember, we never finished the script earlier than the night before the show and the morning of the show. So he really virtually had to do what we wrote. And that's enormous faith in the writing staff. There were stories about we were forced to slip the script under his door because he wouldn't associate with writers. Totally untrue. The only time
we go to writers' meetings. He went to writers'
well,
meetings.
he was very involved, but very supportive. Like most comedians are at war with writers, and maybe writers are equally combative. You write against somebody. He'll never do this. They won't like this. And I guess the comedian hates the total dependency upon writers. He can replace everyone else. Nepotism never extended to writers.
Why, Marilyn, did he not fly?
Well, he did fly for years.
Then he stopped, and then at the end he flew to work with Olivier in London.
Oh, yes, we flew over for that. He never confessed to being afraid to fly, but he was very happy in a private plane, which I went in one with him and found out it was like flying in a small bus. I'm claustrophobic. That was, I said, I'll meet you there. You take the small plane.
But he had that great train trip.
Yep.
From New York to Miami, and that's where I met him on that train.
And the fact that you're talking about it is one of the reasons he did it. To fly, everybody could have flown down. But doing the train was his way of doing something different.
He always thought that way, didn't he, Mike? Larger than life. He knew how to get attention.
Absolutely larger than life. And I'll tell you something. There was a restaurant in Miami where we went to eat one evening after the show called Yaddy's. And as you walked in the door, there was a table, a long table, and then a partition, then the rest of the restaurant. He sat in that seat facing the door because I'm sure he wanted to be seen by everyone. I mean, who could miss him?
He loved Jane walking into the room, right?
Yeah, he was great. I was thinking, Marilyn talked him into taking a trip to Europe. I don't remember that. And when someone asked him, how did you like Europe? He says, just different bartenders.
He told me also once that he told Elvis Presley very early in his career, he says, you're going to be a big star, kid. Don't hide. Go out. Go eat out. Don't remove yourself from the public. You'll be very lonely. He never did that, did he, Leonard? He went out.
No, Jackie created. Yeah, he created as many roles off the screen or off the stage as he did on the stage, and he went out, and that was a party played.
Think, Marilyn. Let's all discuss this. Do you? Hold on, Marilyn. What?
He had his own privacy, by the same token. For every evening he was out, there were 4 or 5. He was at home, quiet.
Would the Honeymooners, as it is, Joyce, we'll start with you, make it today with Alice, You're Going to the Moon?
Well, times are different today. I don't know. People love the show so and say, oh, we wish we could have shows like that again. But perhaps we couldn't say things like that nowadays.
You think so, Jane?
I think it would be tough because of the women's lib movement.
Politically correct.
They might, right.
But he loved her so much, and every show ended with him kissing her, right?
That was the best part. And I think that Archie Bunker was absolutely, you know...
A takeoff on him.
Of course.
Well, Carol,
you see,
he told Gleason that he aped He ate Bunker after
Right.
Jackie.
But Jackie would never say some of the things
No.
that Archie said.
He didn't like
He
that
would
show.
No, he was puritanical when he'd look at that script. and
Mike,
he'd
he
say,
told
"You
me,
can't say
Jackie, that he did not like All in the Family. He didn't like the put down of races. He thought that was poor taste
Lines
comedy. Do you think it would play today, Mike, The Honeymooners?
Oh, I think it would. I never, you know something, that show never gets tired as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I can quote some of the lines, and when his boss invited him to play golf, that was an absolute classic. And Art Carney, when he said address the ball, and Art Carney took his hat off and says, hello, ball. I've never forgotten it, and I know what's coming, and I still laugh.
But would they
I
have
think it
taken
would play.
the threats, the pow, Leonard?
Well, I think part of the answer is the fact that it works today. The show is a success in
And
reruns.
young kids like it.
And young people like it. And I don't think Jackie would have tolerated. No, I don't think he would have tolerated any interference. He might have changed Moon to Mars because it's more warlike. But other than that, I believe he would have fought for it.
The strength of that couple was that he loved her, right? The strength.
That was the strength. Oh, the underlying, of course. Chauvinism was not a point at that time. How many men were not chauvinistic in the 40s, the 50s, which is where Jackie came from?
He also gave writers challenges. Marvin Marsh told me once, the Honeymooners didn't have a phone. Therefore, you couldn't introduce laughs on the phone.
No,
Phones get you laughs.
Jackie also felt that all the exposition was usually on the phone. He wanted it to be acted out.
So you had to come to the door.
Right, right. We had more Western Union messages than any posse could ever, any individual could ever receive in a lifetime.
Think it was funny.
Yeah.
He'd take, at the first day of reading, he would take the script like this. He'd like weigh it. He says, pal, we're 10 minutes over. I said, Jackie, no. Marvin would say, we've timed it, we've got everything. It's just, you're 10 minutes over. Whenever he would introduce people at the end, that's because he was under and the writers were right.
Joyce, what was Art Carney like to work with?
Oh, Art was a dream. He's such a wonderful, sweet, talented man, and he's nothing like Ed Norton, of course.
Mind if I smoke?
There's a great actor, too, right, Leonard? We had two great actors working off each other.
The company was, the ensemble was brilliant. I think there is much a contribution to the longevity as the writing, certainly.
When he co-hosted with you, Mike, was he fun? Did he take over?
No, he did not take over. As a matter of fact, he was kind of difficult to reach at times. And apropos of what you said moments ago about his not liking to fly, I said, why don't you fly? He said, I tried it once. He said, the plane landed in a cornfield in Iowa, and that wasn't where I was going. And to this day, I don't know if he meant that or not, but I think he did.
We'll be right back with more. Don't forget the special airs Monday night, May 6th on CBS. It's called The Honeymooners' 50th Anniversary. Where did it all go? We'll be right back.
Hardy, har, har.
Har, har, hardy, har, har. Ralph, how could you do such a thing?
Hi, Jeremy Parker here, and I'm holding a solid piece of titanium. So tough they make the space station out of it. We've taken this and put it into this. Introducing the amazing Mighty Titan knife, the titanium edge knife that outperforms every other blade. Ordinary knives are flimsy, but look at the quality of the Mighty Titan. The heavy gauge blade goes all the way through the handle, and it's triple brass riveted. So tough, it's made of the same material as this bowling ball. The titanium edge is so sharp, it slices this onion like a laser. Look how easy it slices celery, carrots, cucumbers, cabbage, and even parsley. But wait, you also get the Mighty Titan carving knife. You've seen other knives do this, but have you ever seen a knife cut a steel hammer? Look at the metal filings. And it's still so sharp, this tomato never felt the thing. Ordinary knives squash bread, but the Mighty Titan slices bread like a bakery. So strong, it saws through a nail, and still slices ham like a deli machine. You also get this amazing fillet knife, so sharp you can fillet a fillet. The slices are so thin you can actually read through a tomato. We've even recreated your favorite knife. It's the perfect size for your everyday job. Watch how it peels this orange with ease and slices right through a tough pineapple. Quality knife sets sell for over $300 with no titanium. But now, for the next 30 days, you can get this Mighty Titan set for just $19.99. That's not all. If you order right now, you'll also receive 6 titanium steak knives with the same amazing blade, absolutely free. Every Mighty Titan knife is covered by a 50-year guarantee. You get it all: the chef's knife, the carving knife, the fillet knife, the favorite knife, and 6 steak knives, all for $19.99. Order now.
Call now, 1-800-218-7864 to order your Mighty Titan knife for only $19.99. Call right now, and as our special bonus, we'll also send you a fillet knife, carving knife, favorite knife, and a 6-piece set of steak knives absolutely free. The Mighty Titan knife comes with a 50-year guarantee. So call 1-800-218-7864. That's 1-800-218-7864.
It's a decades-old battle that's getting worse. 1 in 4 of us are obese, but there are success stories. How did they succeed, and are we close to a medical breakthrough? CNN presents Fat Chance, hosted by Aaron Brown, Sunday, 7 Eastern, only on CNN.
Find out the White House's next plan to end the crisis in the Middle East. National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice takes you behind closed doors on Late Edition with Wolf Blitzer, noon Eastern on CNN Sunday.
Tribute to the great one, Jackie Gleason, with the Honeymooners' 50th anniversary celebration. By the way, included in tonight's show is a rare home video you're seeing, provided by Joan Richmond Canal, who was a production assistant on the Honeymooners and took videos. And we've been fortunate enough to have them tonight, I guess, through Marilyn Gleason's efforts, because they had to
I
be.
remember the day she was there with her little 8mm little wind-up thing. I can pick out the dancers. Yeah.
To be straight and honest about it, because we are always attempting that on this show, he did drink too much, did he not, Leonard?
I think he had drinking pals and talking pals. And I think I was a talking pal. I seldom saw Jackie drink.
I saw him only once drink, but he drank, didn't he?
Could drink,
But
yes.
he could go
I'll get you in a minute, Mike.
for 15 minutes and come out sober. He could lie down. Is that right, Marilyn?
That is correct.
You mean he would be drunk, go in and lie down, and sober in 15 minutes?
Or eat. That eat.
Joyce, did you have any experiences with him of it where he drank a lot?
Oh, absolutely not.
Not?
I went to some parties that he gave in the upstairs part of Toots Shores, and he had a few drinks, of course, but he certainly never drank on the show, to my knowledge.
Was some of it a bit, Leonard?
Most assuredly.
And there was tea in the cup?
Yes, or he could play drunk if he decided to. He didn't need to drink to be drunk, and people bought into that. Audrey used to get incensed when there were stories about his drinking on the show. She said, I would know if he drank or not.
Never drank on the show,
She said,
right?
no, I know, and I know. I kissed him every week, she'd say.
Mike, what are your memories in that regard?
Well, I was in his dressing room once, and he was drinking champagne, and he had a little swizzle stick, they call it, and he'd pour it in, and he'd do this and take all the bubbles out, and then they say, you want it on the set, Mr. Gleason, right-o, and he'd down it would go, and he consumed that night 2 quarts of champagne.
No kidding.
And then we went to dinner, and I couldn't wait to see what he was going to eat and what he ate. And when they finally brought the dinner, he'd been drinking double JBs on the rocks, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting for this dinner. And there was a priest at his right, and I was on his left. And they were discussing the ecumenical council, and actually Jackie was well-versed, and more well-versed than the priest was. I was so taken by this conversation. And he was just brilliant. And somebody said he was an insomniac. Marilyn can, and he read about 15 books a week on an average.
He was always reading.
Always reading, yes.
And you, as you said, he was underrated intellectually. What was the term?
I said he was a closet intellect. He hid it from many people. But remarkable. He fell in love with A Tale of Two Cities. But I mean, it was a passionate love. Do you remember?
Yes. Oh.
And he decided that he was going to write a score to it, and he was going to record the total book.
That's right.
And believe it or not, he did it. He hired a company of actors. They disappeared for several weeks. and they recorded the book. I think it was 59 records, vinyl records.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a hernia collection.
It was donated to the University of Miami.
Yes.
And in later years, he ran into an actor that was still around and said, I did your talking book, he had called him. I record for the blind in Fort Lauderdale. I've been doing it for 25 years, once a week. And I think that Jackie is the one that came up with the first idea. Nothing happened with it. It never sold. They record today word for word. He edited Tale of Two Cities.
Well, he was, you know, Jane, just thinking about him and all the incredible things he could do with his body. Now, even though he was generally overweight, he was extraordinarily light on his feet, right?
Incredibly
He moved across the stage.
Oh, I tell you, in this show, the show off in Summer Stock, he did, you know what those barn theaters are, a spider came down in the middle, a very serious scene between my sister and Jack, and he couldn't resist it. He said, "That's the last show you'll see for nothing."
He won a Tony for Take Me Along.
Yes.
He was Academy Award nomination for The Hustler.
Which he should have won.
He was great in The Hustler. Requiem for a Heavyweight and Gigot.
Wonderful.
One of the great movies.
It was a total,
never spoke a word.
The best.
Total injustice. Not a single Emmy Award, and not even a nomination.
No. How do you explain that, Joyce? Not even an Emmy nomination for Jackie Gleason.
I don't know. That it's so weird. I mean, he should have been right up there getting all sorts of awards, and it just didn't happen, and I don't know why.
Did it bother him, Marilyn?
He never let on. I'm sure it did. It would have bothered me if I'd been in his position.
How do you explain it, Mike? You're the television veteran here. How did they overlook him?
I can't imagine how they did that, but I remember one time they called me in Philadelphia and said, "Will you come down and host the Emmy Awards, the local Emmy Awards in Miami? They're going to give a special award to Jackie Gleason." I didn't hesitate to come right down, gave him the award. But this man, there were so many facets of this man's, he was such an unusual man. If he said to me one time, he said it 1,000 times, because I don't drink, "You realize, pal, that's as good as you're going to feel all day?" I said, and I was Irish, and he kept saying, "Are you sure you're Irish? You don't drink." He couldn't figure that out.
That's right, boy. But he loved to help people. He was just great to me. You know, he would come on my show and he would do promos, and when I switched television stations, he did the promo, and we did a big event in the Orange Bowl together. Remember the Decency Rally?
Yes.
I hosted it, and Jackie came in this like caravan float. Jackie Gleason, 1 in a million. We'll be right back with more. Don't go away.
He said if I turned it on, he'd hit me.
Sleep.
She turned it on, hit her!
If you were born between 1917 and 1962, call 1-800-306-5400 now to find out more about the Silver Care Plan. The Silver Care Plan makes it easy to plan ahead. The average funeral now costs over $6,000, and many can cost up to $10,000 or more. But did you know your survivors may only be able to receive government death benefits up to $300 if they qualify, leaving your loved ones to pay the balance? The Silver Care Plan helps your loved ones. It will help with funeral and any other expenses. You must be age 40 to 85 to qualify. No physical examination is necessary, and coverage starts as soon as you're accepted. To get free information about the Silver Care Plan, call 1-800-306-5400 now. You'll have lifetime coverage, and by starting now, you can lock in the lowest rate possible. With the Silver Care Plan, your rates will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and your plan cannot be canceled. You also get a free planning guide to help carry out your wishes, so everything is done just as you want them to be. The Silver Care Plan pays cash to your family when they need it most. The Silver Care Plan is something we all have to think about. It's something we'll all someday need, To get free information about the Silver Care Plan and its benefits, call 1-800-306-5400. You have absolutely no obligation. The information is free, and so is the phone call. Operators are waiting for your call. Don't put it off. Call now.
To get free information about the Silver Care Plan, call 1-800-306-5400. That's 1-800-306-5400.
Robert Blake, charged with murder, denied bail and remains behind bars.
Because it's easier to convict you when you're locked up.
Did Blake plan the crime for more than a year? Shocking revelations of the dark side of Tinseltown.
Robert Blake shot Bonnie Bateman.
How will the next scene of this starstruck scandal play out? A Hollywood murder mystery. Don't miss what happens next. And when it happens, you'll get it first on CNN.
Carlos, would you do me a favor? Well, what is it? You teach me a mambo? Oh, sure, it'll be a pleasure. Yeah? Well, now, you just watch me and do exactly as I do. Yes, huh? Left.
We're back. Don't forget this airs Monday night, May 6th at 10 o'clock on CBS. And Jackie went to Hollywood the first time, Jane. It didn't treat him well, right? He had a Warner Brothers contract. They sort of
That's right.
didn't even use him,
but
right?
he was good, though, in the couple of things he did. He was very much influenced by Jack Oakey. They were very close.
They were great
Very
pals,
close.
right?
Great pals, yes. And they did a lot of the same shtick in a way, you know.
He also told me once, Leonard, he didn't like challenges. He said, I like doing what I know. Also, he didn't read a note of music, right?
No, he didn't.
But he had a great ear. He knew when you were off.
Yeah, the paradox, yeah, it was amazing.
Music for lovers only.
He invented
Capitol Records.
Music 4.
Music 4, right?
He was
Also,
the first
in
one.
film, he was sometimes too thin for the Jackie that audiences would laugh at, because he's a handsome man.
Very.
Yes.
Beautiful eyes.
Do you remember in New York where he was at La Vie Parisienne, one of those clubs, with the orchestra just conducting it, like the orchestra from those records? Betty and I were at the Copacabana. He brought the whole orchestra right in the middle of our act and walked across the floor. Conducted the whole thing. Wild.
Now, Mike, you're a singer. That musical thing of his was extraordinary, wasn't it?
Oh, it was amazing. And I was told the whole story about that by a fellow I know in New York who had been a part of my life for many years, a guy named Bobby Brenner, was telling me how that whole thing happened and that they had taken it everywhere. And when they finally took it to Capitol, Capitol had already heard it the second time Jackie went in. But he said, don't tell them that we've been here. And they bought it, and it was a huge seller.
Yeah.
Just #1 for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And when they recorded it the first time, and Bullets was his partner.
Bullet Sturgis.
Bullet Sturgis, his manager. And he went home and listened to what they had done that night. It only cost $5,000 to do the recording, that first one. He said, no, it's not right. It's not perfect. We're going to go back tomorrow night or whatever. Bullet said, oh, hold it. Wait a minute. Count me out. He said, very good. I'll buy you out. It'll be all mine. Bullets, for years, Jackie knew what he wanted. He could hear it. And, yeah.
Also, people, Joyce stayed with him a long time, didn't they?
Yes, of course.
Philbin
Writers.
Association, writers stayed with him. He didn't fire people, did he?
Still had the
No,
same,
no,
we
he
still have
didn't.
the same accountant.
Yeah, same
Everybody
accountant.
loved, everybody loved working for him, and he was the boss. He ran everything. We all deferred to him for any questions.
Was he difficult, Joyce, at times? He was a perfectionist, was he not?
Yes, he was a perfectionist, and perhaps once in a while he'd come in a black Irish humor and be a little bit difficult, but that wasn't often. He was generally wonderful.
Did you find him easy to work with, Jane?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Really.
Because there were stories, too, that he could be tough.
Well, well, Leonard would know more, but I always thought he was tougher on the writers than on the actors. If he wasn't pleased with something, I know Marvin Marks, his wife would bake him a cake anything to please get some wonderful encouragement out of Jackie, one kind word, you know, because it was, but to actors, I thought he was wonderful.
He was not a great friend of Art Carney's, was he? I mean, they were
No, they went their separate ways. He was closer to Audrey in the company. They had rapport.
They loved each other. Yes. But they didn't spend time together. They didn't do the same things.
He respected Carney.
Enormously. He was proud of him.
You mentioned, Mike, about playing off people. Jackie once told me that he wanted to do The Odd Couple, and I said, boy, you'd be a great Oscar. And he said, nope, I want to be Felix. Felix gets more laughs.
How about that?
Yeah, you can work.
That's a surprise to me.
I could work off Oscar.
He could work off of anyone. He was amazing.
Well said, Leonard.
It was interesting. Very often, I became the spokesperson for the group of writers because I knew Jackie, and I'd have to go to him at the end of a writing session, say, this current script, you don't have many jokes, and he'd say,
him.
Yeah, many jokes. You don't have many of the punchlines. He said, do I have things to react to? I say, yes. He said, okay, I'll take care of myself. And
for example, he would get great laughs off every funny line you wrote for Art Carney.
Absolutely.
Right? His reaction to Carney was hysterical.
Oh.
How did you...
Oh, I was going to say, he made contact with the audience. He represented their point of view.
That's right. How did you not break up, Jane?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. But unlike when you worked with Red Skelton, Red would want you to break up.
Yeah.
And
Jackie, he wouldn't get mad, but, you know, it would be better if he did.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Paul Brownstein, the executive producer of 50 Years of the Honeymooners, which will air Monday night, May 6th at 10 o'clock on CBS. Don't go away.
Let me have it. Okay.
How do you build an empire out of your kitchen?
My life is my work, and my work is my life.
But is her success made of sugar and spice and not always playing so nice? Martha Stewart on People in the News, hosted by Paul Azan. Sunday night, 8 Eastern on CNN.
You're not going to believe what Mike Tyson told one of our reporters.
You put me in prison. I even like prison now.
On the Next American Morning, Monday at 7 a.m.
Hi, interested in earning free airline miles?
Sure.
Think you don't fly enough to earn them?
Yes.
Think miles are good on only one airline?
Yes.
Think again. Every day, more people are flying to more places free.
How? It's easy. With the Citibank Advantage World MasterCard.
Call now and you could get 1 mile for every $1 you spend. And use your miles on over 20 top airlines. And now your miles never expire when you make a purchase with your card once every 3 years. Plus, we'll give you 8,000 bonus miles. Sound good?
Yes.
You'll earn miles on everyday purchases. And with no preset spending limit, you'll have the spending power you want. Call now and get 8,000 bonus miles. And before you know it, you could fly on over 20 top airlines, drive with every major car rental company, and stay at the finest hotels free. All with the miles that take you further. From Citibank Advantage World MasterCard. Perfect. Call about getting your Citibank Advantage World MasterCard and 8,000 bonus miles.
Don't miss live soccer action from the English FA Cup. Watch all the English soccer greats clash in this battle for the coveted title. Stay tuned for further transmission details. Live on Direct Ticket Pay-Per-View on Direct TV.
This month, order any one of up to 60 pay-per-view movie choices on Blockbuster Ticket only on DirecTV at just $3.99 per movie, and we'll give you a free $5 Blockbuster gift card. Now catch the Oscar-winning performance of Denzel Washington in Training Day.
You gotta have a little dirt on you for anybody to trust you.
Right down, down! To protect the sheep, you gotta catch the wolf.
Hurry, this offer's only good during the month of May. Tune to the 100s and order any pay-per-view movie to qualify for this offer today.
This is CNN. This is CNN.
And if I ever become president of that bus company, I'm going to put in some improvements that they've been needing for a long time. First of all, I'm going to have pretty stewardesses on each bus. I'm going to have electric outlets for electric shavers. I'm gonna have long straps for short people. And you know how everybody just misses the bus in the morning? Well, I'm gonna fix that too. I'm gonna make a schedule out so all the buses leave a minute later.
We're back. The CBS special airs Monday night, May 6th, and we welcome to Larry King Live, joining our panelist, Paul Brownstein, who, along with Jeff Margolis, the co-executive producers. How did you come to get this gig, Paul?
I represent the Gleasons on some of the American Scene magazine and the Color Honeymooners. I distribute programs for artists who own their own copyright off-network shows.
American Scene, dun 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 dun, dun dun dun.
The show is the Jackie Gleason show from '62 to '66. And as part of that, when working with the Gleasons, I realized it's the 50th anniversary coming up, and Jeff and I went and pitched the show to CBS, and it worked.
So it was all done outside of CBS. They didn't control anything.
Oh, we're working with CBS because they own the Classic 39.
So what will we see on Monday night?
You're going to see footage, lost footage you've never. We thought you'd seen Lost Honeymooners. Well, we went searching. We found Audrey's first appearance as Alice was on the first Jackie Gleason show on CBS. That's never been rerun and never been part of the Lost Honeymooners. That particular kinescope was lost. We found a show from '73 with Sheila McRae. CBS didn't have it. The Gleason Vault didn't have it. We found it at the Museum of Television and Radio. So we've really been scouring to find it.
Do you keep a lot of Gleason stuff?
Oh, have everything in vaults.
You
in
do?
Miami.
You have
My
costumes
son
you
has
wore?
put everything on computer. It's all.
You have
we
the
have
bus
notebooks.
driver's uniform?
Yes. And hat.
That's worth a lot of money.
His interest in the occult, we discussed a little earlier.
Yeah.
He believed but didn't believe. You know, I mean, he was
Absolutely.
very skeptical.
He was always looking. He wanted, you put something down, go ahead and make it move.
Okay.
He wanted to see it happen. He wanted to. Nothing.
He wrote music too, right, Leonard? I mean,
Yes,
he wrote the
I
Gleason theme.
believe he dictated it to someone.
He'd have to
who put it
dictate.
down,
He couldn't
yes.
write a note
Right,
of music,
right.
right? How do you explain that, Mike, that musical ability without knowing a note?
Well, I heard he wrote Melancholy Serenade,
Well, he
the
did.
theme.
Yeah.
Did he write that?
Oh, definitely.
Well, he was, and his taste in music, as far as musicianship was concerned, the absolute best. I mean, people like Bobby Hackett in that orchestra.
Oh, he
all the best
knew
musicians,
Don
and he
Goldie.
knew.
who to get to make it good. And he
Absolutely.
wrote My Greatest Love for the Honeymooners thing.
He spent more time with the orchestra, with the overture in the beginning of the show than the whole blocking of the show. Remember?
Who
That is
hosts the
correct.
special?
Kevin James. And one of the things you are going to be seeing is newly remastered from the 35mm negatives, the classic 39 Honeymooners. We just completed the 39. Brand new digital mastering.
Are they still playing the Honeymooners?
The Honeymooners still play on TV Land and in syndication. As a matter of fact, WPIX in New York has had the show running continuously since 1957. It's never not been on the air in New York City.
Do you ever watch it, Joyce?
Yes, of course I do. It's great fun.
And how do you explain something, that Joyce, that we can watch them 100 times and laugh the 101st time?
Well, I hate to
Because
make-
they're because they're so funny. They're wonderful.
I know,
and-
but
and-
Mike, we know what's coming. So
That's
humor is
exact-
supposed to be surprise.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, it's like watching the old Laurel and Hardy things. That you know where all the laughs are, but you never tire of seeing those two people. Jackie and Art had that kind of a rapport. It was just absolutely one of a kind. It was just so good.
You watch them, Leonard?
Oh, most assuredly, yes.
And you know what's coming.
I do know what's
You
coming.
probably wrote some of what's coming.
I think I did, and I'm willing to rewrite it now. You know, it's interesting. I always say they call them the Classic 39, and I feel if we had known they were going to be called classics, we would have written them better. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Gleason episode? Marilyn, a Honeymooners episode?
No, I love them all.
Well, I have one because it won an award and we loved it, and it was included in the book, and I always remember the critic, Clifton Fadiman, why has this play been selected for this book? I love that preface. It was the $99,000 answer show.
The best. When he misses the first question.
Right.
That was my answer.
Was that your answer?
That was my favorite. Also, how about when he went on television to sell the chopper? The lettuce chopper. The humma, 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 humma.
Right.
humma.
Chef of the future.
The chef. The chef of the future. Oh, magic chef.
There's one more thing about the Honeymooners. You got to realize these are the only sitcom characters who we saw develop over 3 decades. Ralph Cramden and Norton, we saw them in the 50s, we saw them in the 60s in color, and we saw them again in the 70s in the specials. And that's an important point.
Do you have a favorite episode, Joyce?
Oh, I love them all, but I love the sleepwalking one, and any show in which I had more than 6 or 7 lines, I really loved.
And Mike, do you have one?
Oh, the one where Art Carney knocked on the door and couldn't get it open and came through the window. That, for some reason, I'm glad they didn't change that. They kept it as is. It was
I thank you all.
Wonderful.
Thank you all very much for a delightful hour. Thank you so much for doing this. Paul Brownstein, along with Jeff Margolis, he's the co-executive producer. Marilyn Gleason, Mike Douglas, Joyce Randolph, Leonard Stern, and Jane Kean, the guests. And the special will air Sunday night, May 6th at 10 o'clock Eastern on CBS. The 50 years of the Honeymooners. Jackie Gleason. May he never go away. Good night. Gracie was a great light comedian, was she not? It was a
Gracie was a great actress.
That was
Gracie was a Gracie. The whole world thought Gracie was dumb, but not Gracie. Gracie thought she was smart. When Gracie said these strange things, you didn't understand and she felt sorry for you. And Gracie never told the joke. She explained it to you. Like, I came home, I said, what are we having for dinner? She says, roast beef. I just put 2 roasts together. A big one, a little one. I said, why 2? She, why? Because when the little one burns, that means the big one is done. Gracie was great.